Welcome back everyone to a special quiz edition. Name the place and test your biblical knowledge about the land of Israel. In today's series, let's explore the interesting historical places mentioned in the Bible and see by your own eyes how they look like. Do participate by counting how many right answers you get and write them down in the comments below. So here we go. Question number 1. In the story of Joshua, which happened some 3,200 years ago, he commanded the sun to stand still at Gibeon. And what is the name of the valley which he commanded the moon to stand still? A. Jordan Valley, B. Elah Valley, C. Jezreel Valley, D. Ayalon Valley. And the answer is D. Ayalon Valley. Then Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ayalon. So the sun stood still and the moon stopped, till the people had revenge upon their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and did not hasten to go down for about a whole day. And there has been no day like that, before it or after it, that the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Congratulations if you get it right. 2. In the allotment of the land for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel after entering the promised land, which tribe abandoned their original land holding, instead moved and settled in the north of the country? Name that tribe. A. Benjamin, B. Dan, C. Judah, D. Ephraim. The answer is B. Dan. Yes, the tribe of Dan. The territory of the sons of Dan proceeded beyond them, for the sons of Dan went up and fought with Leshem and captured it. Then they struck it with the edge of the sword and took possession of it and settled in it. And they named Leshem Dan, after the name of their father Dan. As you can see, the place is more lush, green and beautiful. Thus you have this expression from Dan to Beersheba when described the territory of the children of Israel. Example, 1 Samuel chapter 3 verse 20. And all Israel from Dan to Beersheba knew that Samuel had been established as the prophet of the Lord. So down below you can see from here was the original allotment to the tribe of Dan, and later they moved up to the north and settled there. When described the territory of the children of Israel, however, even to this present day, that plain far down there is still known as Gush Dan area because of that original land holding of the tribe of Dan. 3. In the story of Gideon and his 300 men fighting against the armies of Midian, Amalek and the people of the east, where was that battle took place? A. Jerusalem, B. Jordan River, C. Jezreel Valley, D. Hebron. The answer is C. Jezreel Valley. Judges chapter 6 verse 33. Soon afterward, the armies of Midian, Amalek and the people of the east formed an alliance against Israel and crossed the Jordan, camping in the valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord clothed Gideon with power. He blew a ram's horn as a call to arms, and the men of the clan of Abiezer came to him. He also sent messengers throughout Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, summoning their warriors, and all of them responded. So down below, as you can see from here, is that Jezreel Valley? 4. Who built the seaport at Etzion Geber, or modern day the city of Eilat? A. King Saul, B. King David, C. King Solomon, D. King Hezekiah. And the answer is C. King Solomon. Eilat is mentioned several times in the Bible, mainly in connection with King Solomon and later other kings of Judah. King Solomon also built a fleet of ships at Etzion Geber near Eilat, on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. Five. King David was from which town? A. Bethlehem, B. Beersheba, C. Hebron, D. Bethel. The answer is A. Bethlehem. 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 12 state, Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and who had 8 sons, and the man was old, advanced in years, in the day of Saul. So David was from the town of Bethlehem. 6. Naaman, the commander of the army of the king of Aram, was infected with skin disease, and he went to meet Elisha the prophet of Israel to get healed. Where did Elisha ask him to go and dip himself? A. The pool of Bethesda, B. River Jordan, C. Sea of Galilee, D. Dead Sea. The answer is B. River Jordan. 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 9 to 14. So Naaman came with his horses and his chariots and stood at the doorway of Elisha's house. And Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh will be restored to you, and you will be clean. But Naaman was furious and went away, and he said, Behold, I thought he will certainly come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and wave his hand over the sight and cure their leprosy. Are Albana and Parpar, the river of Damascus, not better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. Then his servants approached and spoke to him, saying, My father, had the prophet told to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then, when he says to you, Wash and be clean? So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, in accordance with the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. Disclaimer: this may not be the exact spot where it happened, but it happened here in the River Jordan. 7. Where was the last battle where King Saul killed? A. Jerusalem, B. Bethlehem, C. Mount Gilboa, D. Jezreel Valley. C. Mount Gilboa. 1 Samuel chapter 31 verse 7 to 8. Now when the people of Israel who were on the other side of the valley, with those who were beyond the Jordan, saw that the men of Israel had fled and that Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned the cities and fled. Then the Philistine came and settled in them. It came about on the next day, when the Philistine came to strip those killed, that they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. So this is that Mount Gilboa where King Saul, the first king of Israel, died some 3,000 years ago in a battle. 8. Where did the Philistine took the body of King Saul and his son after they found the dead bodies on Mount Gilboa? A. Bethel, B. Shiloh, C. Beth-shean, D. Samaria. And the answer is C. Beth-shean. 1 Samuel 31, 8 to 12. The next day, when the Philistine came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They cut off Saul's head and stripped off his armor and sent them round about the land of the Philistines to publish it in the house of the idols among the people. And they put Saul's armor in the house of the Ashtaroth, the idol representing the female deities Ashtoreth and Asherah. And they fastened his body to the wall of Beth-Shaan. When the people of Yavesh Gilead heard what the Philistine had done to Saul, all the valiant men rose and went all night, and they took the bodies of Saul and his son from the wall of Beth-Shaan and came to Yavesh and cremated them there. This once prosperous city dates back to about 6,000 years ago. The city continues to flourish throughout the ages. In the 1st century AD, Beth-Shaan became an outstanding multicultural Roman city, and it was one of the 10 cities in the Decapolis region mentioned in biblical and extra-biblical records. It was also the Roman provincial capital in the 4th century AD. However, after the devastating earthquake in 749 AD, this prosperous city just crumbled to desolation, as can be still seen even to this day. 9. Who made Jerusalem the capital of the kingdom of Israel? A. King Saul. B. King David. C. King Solomon. D. King Josiah. And the answer is B. King David. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 4 to 10. King David became king when he was 30 years old. He first reigned 7 years from Hebron and 33 years from Jerusalem, and in total he ruled over Israel for 40 years. He captured Jerusalem from the Jebusites and built fortress around the city and named it the City of David, or Ir David. In the story of Jonah, who was swallowed by a big fish, he departed from one of the ancient seaports of the world. Name that seaport. A. Etzion Geber. B. Joppa. C. Haifa. D. Tel Aviv. The answer is A. Joppa. 1 Jonah chapter 1 verse 1 to 3. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, modern-day Jaffa, where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. So that seaport Joppa mentioned here in the text is this beautiful city of modern-day Jaffa or Joppa, which is a walking distance from the city of Tel Aviv. So now it's time to tally up your score and leave in the comments below how much is your score. For those of you who get all correct, congratulations. And even for those who get a few answers correct, thank you. Keep trying up next time. Thank you all. God bless.